Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and drop a comment below, because today's story is unlike anything you've ever heard. Betrayal, deception, and the ultimate revenge, it's all here. And trust me, you won't want to miss a second of it. Imagine waking up one day to find out that the person you trusted most, your own husband, had been plotting behind your back for months. Not just infidelity, not just cheating, but something so twisted, so calculated, that it could have left me with nothing. At 3 a.m., I got a text that changed everything. My husband, the man I built a life with, had locked me out of our home, thrown my belongings onto the lawn, and smugly informed me that I had no legal claim to anything. He thought he had won. He thought I was powerless. But here's what he didn't know. While he was busy weaving his lies, I was already 3 steps ahead. I had receipts. I had evidence. And I had a plan. Because when someone tries to take everything from you, you don't just sit back and cry. You rise up and take it all back. And that's exactly what I did. This is a story of betrayal, revenge, and a downfall so brutal that even he didn't see it coming. So buckle up, because by the end of this, you'll see why karma is the best storyteller of all. It was 3 a.m. when my world shattered. My phone buzzed, and there it was, a cold, detached text from Nathan. I changed the locks. Your stuff is on the lawn. Don't bother fighting for the house. You signed a quitclaim deed. My heart pounded, but not from shock. No, I had been expecting this. I had seen the signs, the distant looks, the sudden secrecy, the missing money. Infidelity stories don't always start with lipstick on a collar. Sometimes they start with a gut feeling and a bank statement that doesn't add up. And I had been preparing for this moment. You see, when betrayal creeps into a marriage, it doesn't announce itself with flashing lights. It whispers. At first, I told myself I was overthinking. A misplaced receipt here, a strange phone call there. But experience teaches you that where there's smoke, there's fire. I started digging, not just into his lies, but into his patterns. Infidelity and cheating have one thing in common. They rely on the victim's ignorance. But I wasn't about to play that role. So, while Nathan thought he was leading the game, I was quietly rewriting the rules. The irony? He truly believed he had won. Kicking me out in the middle of the night, tossing my belongings like I was a stranger. He underestimated me. What he didn't know was that I had been collecting proof of his deception for months. Every suspicious transaction, every lie disguised as a business trip, every forged signature documented. While he was busy playing the role of the heartless husband, I was setting the stage for his downfall. That's the thing about cheating stories. The cheater always assumes they're the smartest person in the room. Nathan was about to learn otherwise. I took a deep breath, staring at my belongings scattered under the dim glow of the porch light. This wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of a reckoning. I picked up my phone, scrolled to my lawyer's number, and pressed dial. If Nathan thought this was checkmate, he had no idea that I was about to flip the entire board. People say intuition is just fear dressed up as wisdom, but I disagree. My intuition was screaming at me long before the truth surfaced. Nathan had always been good at deception. Too good. The small financial inconsistencies, the strange work trips, and that shady quitclaim deed he pushed me to sign. It didn't add up. So instead of confronting him with empty accusations, I did what every woman in a cheating story should do. I gathered evidence. If he was going to lie, I was going to make sure the truth had teeth. I started small. Hidden cameras, tracking expenses, checking credit card statements. The truth is, when someone is living a double life, they leave breadcrumbs everywhere. He thought he was careful, but infidelity and cheating always leave traces. His forged signature on the quitclaim deed, caught on camera. The secret accounts, linked to his business expenses. The late-night calls, a woman's voice in the background. And the best part? He had no idea I was watching. The moment he tried to gaslight me, acting shocked, offended, playing the victim, I almost laughed. It was textbook. You're being paranoid, Emily. You need help. Classic move. But I wasn't the naive wife he thought I was. I had everything: video proof, bank statements, phone records. While he was busy spinning lies, I was building a case so airtight that not even his best legal tricks could save him. Infidelity stories often end in heartbreak, but mine was going to end in justice. So I let him talk. Let him dig his own grave with every condescending word, every fake reassurance. Because once we stepped into that courtroom, there would be no escape. He wanted to play dirty? Fine. I was about to show him what happens when you underestimate the wrong woman. Walking into that courtroom, I wasn't the same woman Nathan thought he could manipulate. I had spent months preparing for this moment, turning every painful discovery into a weapon. And when the judge took his seat, I knew it was time for the truth to burn through his web of lies. Nathan sat there, confident, smug even, as if he still had control. But when my lawyer laid out the evidence, his expression shifted. The forged quitclaim deed? Exposed. The missing money? Traced back to his hidden accounts. The infidelity and cheating he swore never happened? Laid bare for the court to see. His attorney tried to object, to twist the facts, but there was no saving him. The videos, the documents, the testimonies, it was all too much. Infidelity stories often paint the betrayed spouse as powerless, but that day, I was anything but. The judge didn't just rule in my favor. He went further. A restraining order, frozen assets, and an ethics investigation into Nathan's fraudulent dealings. That man had walked into the courtroom expecting to strip me of everything. Instead, he was watching his own world collapse, piece by piece. And then came the final blow, the one he never saw coming. That dream home he had been gloating about, the one he thought was his prize for outsmarting me. Well, funny thing about business, if you play your cards right, you can build a future your enemy doesn't even know exists. The judge confirmed it. While Nathan had been busy trying to steal my bakery, I had been quietly securing ownership of multiple commercial properties, including the very block his precious house sat on. I watched the realization dawn on him, his face draining of color. He had spent so much time crafting his betrayal, so sure he had outmaneuvered me. But now he was just another cautionary tale, another name in the long list of men who let greed and infidelity turn them into their own worst enemy. And this wasn't even the worst part. His real downfall was just beginning. You know, there's a certain poetic justice in watching someone who tried to destroy you fall apart. Nathan thought he could walk away unscathed, that his lies, his infidelity, his cheating would just fade into the background. But life has a way of collecting its debts. The moment my lawyer sent the evidence to his law firm, the walls started closing in. They didn't hesitate. Fraud, deception, ethical violations. He was fired on the spot. The career he spent years building? Gone. Just like that. Turns out, when you make a living bending the law, it doesn't take much for it to snap back and break you. Losing his job was just the beginning. With our accounts frozen and the court ruling against him, his financial empire crumbled overnight. No more luxury cars, No more high-end suits, no more expensive dinners meant to impress women who had no idea they were part of his infidelity stories. And the house? The one he had thrown in my face, the one he thought he had stolen from me? Let's just say eviction notices don't care about ego. He went from hosting cocktail parties to barely affording rent. But what really destroyed him wasn't the money. It was the humiliation. The whispers from former colleagues, the pitying looks from so-called friends, the realization that he had lost everything, not because of bad luck, but because he was reckless, arrogant, and foolish. Infidelity and cheating always have consequences, but Nathan had convinced himself he was untouchable. Watching him unravel, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. But then I remembered the cold text he sent me at 3 a.m., the way he had laughed at my pain, the way he had tried to erase me from my own life. And here I was, standing tall while he drowned in the wreckage of his own betrayal. But the best part? The final piece of justice was still on its way, and trust me, it was going to be the sweetest victory yet. Success is the best revenge, but adding a little poetic justice? Now, that's just the cherry on top. 1 month after Nathan's downfall, I stood in my newest bakery location, finalizing expansion plans. 5 locations. 5. The same woman he tried to break, the same business he tried to steal, now thriving beyond anything he ever imagined. And while I was signing contracts and hiring staff, Nathan was dealing with something else entirely, an ethics suspension. Turns out, cheating, fraud, and deception don't exactly make for a long and successful career. His law license was hanging by a thread, just like the life he once bragged about. But the real kicker? His mother, who used to sneer at my business, calling it a cute little hobby, was now my biggest fan. She raved about my desserts to anyone who would listen, completely unaware of the irony. And if that wasn't enough, his own brother had the audacity to ask me to cater his wedding. Can you imagine? The same family that once dismissed me, now treating me like a household name. It took everything in me not to laugh when I got that message. Life really does have a sense of humor. And speaking of irony, remember that dream home Nathan was so proud of? The one he thought was his ultimate prize? Well, let's just say property ownership is a funny thing. Because now I own the entire Beacon Hill block, including the land his house once stood on. That's right. While he was busy plotting my downfall, I was securing my future. And now I could build whatever I wanted on that land. A cafe, a bakery, or maybe just a beautiful open space where people could enjoy their coffee without the stench of betrayal lingering in the air. Nathan thought he had won. He thought he had destroyed me. But in the end, he was nothing more than a lesson, a cautionary tale about greed, arrogance, and the inevitable price of infidelity and cheating. And as I took one last look at the papers finalizing my ownership of that block, I smiled. This was what real power looked like. Now tell me, how many people do you know who have been betrayed, but never took their power back? How many stayed stuck, believing the lies, letting someone else write the ending of their story? If there's one thing you should take away from this, it's that you are never as powerless as they want you to believe. When someone betrays you, whether it's through infidelity, cheating, or outright deception, you have 2 choices. Let it break you, or use it to build something even stronger. But let's be real. Most people never fight back. They accept the betrayal, the lies, and the losses as if they were inevitable. But why? Why let a cheater walk away with everything while you suffer in silence? What if, instead, you played the long game? What if you turned their betrayal into the very thing that fuels your success? That's exactly what I did. And trust me, there's no better revenge than thriving. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been betrayed? Have you ever watched someone try to take everything from you? What did you do? Or maybe you're still in the middle of it, wondering if there's a way out. Drop a comment below. I read every single one. And if this story gave you even 1 ounce of strength or inspiration, do me a favor. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another powerful story like this one. Because at the end of the day, the best way to win? Make sure they regret ever underestimating you.